Hey everyone, this is Mark with Harmony-Toluca Lake and another segment of short stories, part of the Our Story, the podcast. And today we have a featured guest, our senior pastor from Hollywood United Methodist Church, Rev. Hannah Adair Bonner. Hello.
Hello, hello. So glad to be with y'all today.
You. And so today, Rev. Hannah and I are going to talk about the importance of voting. And this is a nonpartisan discussion. But I love your shirt.
Yes, they were selling this in my neighborhood, and I had to jump on it.
Well, so I was doing a little research about voting, and it's rather flabbergasting in a way, where I found out in the last three general elections, 30% of Americans didn't vote,
Wow.
and 37% only they voted in all three. So that meant 33% only voted in one or two of the general elections. I mean, that's mind-boggling.
Yeah, especially when you think about how hard people fought. People lost their lives fighting for the right to vote throughout history, right?
Yeah, and I think we may even rank low on the percentage of voters that turn out within the world. I think we may be like number 31, something like that. It's like, it's a little crazy.
Truly, truly.
Well, so this November, we have a big election coming up, and our vote, each vote counts.
Absolutely.
Yes. So why, though, is it important for us to take on that civic responsibility of voting?
Right. There's a quote that a vote is a prayer for the world that you want to live in, something along those
Mm,
lines,
love it.
right? And so it is a way of participating in the ways that are offered to us. Sometimes we pray for things
Hmm.
and God actually like is wanting to use one another or ourselves to be the answer instead of just like waiting for the answer. And so a vote is a way of participating, right?
Mm,
In creating the world that we want to see. Instead of we can pray for it, right?
hmm.
But we also can put our prayers into action by doing something about it and participating in the ways that God has offered to us these opportunities to be a part of creating the change that we want to see.
Yeah. Because there's been a handful of elections that have been determined by just one vote.
Wow. Hmm.
And which is, again, it's like, that's another reason why these votes count. I think I read something about in Ohio where they actually had elections locally where there were ties.
Mm.
And so again, it's like, why sit at home and not vote? Why not be active and participate? Well, I love what you're saying about it's an act of putting into action our prayers.
Hmm.
Um, have you ever had anything? Well, I guess from a civic engagement standpoint, how did you learn about that?
My background, my family was very political growing up. My sister actually left home at 17 to go start working in DC. And my family would always take us to the polls with them. So as a little kid, they take us into back in the day, I don't know if you can do that anymore, but where I grew up, you could take your children right into the polling booth with you. And so we would watch our parents vote. And so for me, it was something that was very much a part of our life. It was very much a
Mm,
priority. And as I grew older, there was that mindset of like, we vote as a family, right? So, like, there's the parents and five kids. So our family has seven votes. And as I got older, I kind of, really started to understand that actually a vote is a personal choice.
mhm.
We each as individuals have a personal responsibility. So it's not like a group vote. And I would say the way that my family voted then and the way my parents vote now would probably not be in ways that would protect me as a gay person living in these United States, et
Mm,
cetera. And so you kind of learn to vote like in the way that your heart is feeling you personally called to, the way that God is calling you to vote might be different, like
mhm.
it became for me, than how the rest of my family maybe was voting. And that's
Mm,
what's kind of beautiful about it is that, God can speak to each of us, and we each have an individual calling. And so it's up to us to really listen and to try to understand what is God placing on my heart right? Not
Mm.
not just what is everybody around me doing, but what is God placing on my heart? What kind of world do I feel like God is calling me to live into? Who are the people in my life that I want to be safe and to be well? And what can I do about that? And so I think that's been a really kind of a important journey for me to understand that we each have the individual choice. It's a private decision. It is your choice what you vote for. And people know whether you vote, but they don't know who you vote for. It's your
Mhm.
own private conscience, your own personal choice as an individual.
Well, I appreciate you sharing that. It reminds me of some folks that they vote and then it's just basically a straight ticket.
Right.
And it's sort of like, I don't even have to think about anything. And I really appreciate what you're sharing about that journey that you described, that you're taking each vote seriously. Sort of like what we're dealing with the county. I believe here in Los Angeles we have county and state measures, and I believe there's 20
Yeah.
that are the propositions, those measures, and each one is important.
Hmm.
And so it's study and be prayerful about how we're going to vote, and that's a great tie-in of what you just said.
It's very Methodist, Bishop Swenson at yesterday was talking in our Unclabber Bible study about the Wesleyan quadrilateral. So the ways that we think about Scripture through the lens of tradition, experience, but also reason, right?
Mhm.
So that part of our faith journey and the decisions that we make, the things that we feel called to, is how do we understand the Scripture and how do we use our brains, right? How do we reason? How do we seek to educate ourselves, to understand what's happening in the world, and to know what we're voting for? I've appreciated being able to vote from home for that reason when those opportunities are afforded to us, because it gives me a little bit more ability to kind of study and not find myself in the polling booth, kind of like, wait, I don't understand this one. But we have the responsibility, if we are going to the polls, to kind of do some research ahead of time
Mhm.
so that we know what's going to show up on there. And yeah, sometimes it's hard to understand and to look at. I always struggle the most with also when you have to vote for judges or different things like that, where it's like
Yes.
it's very helpful sometimes to be able to talk to somebody who knows some of the background, some of the decisions that have been made, and so you can be wise and informed with your decisions.
Mhm.
So it definitely makes me feel more confident when I vote,
Mhm.
when I've done a little work to know about what I'm voting for, which confidence leads to be quite honest, it feeling a little more fun
Mhm.
because, and I feel like I know what I'm doing and I feel confident about that I understand what I'm doing. It makes it, a little more exciting, a little more fun to do.
Well, it's also for me, I've noticed that when I vote, I care about how
Hmm.
it's going to turn out.
Right.
And so I'm like, okay, what's going on with the news? Let me check online. What's the latest? And it's sometimes I've been very surprised.
Yeah, and I think about, when I say that it's like a vote is kind of like a prayer for the world you want to live in, right? Sometimes people are kind of like, oh, well, I voted the last time and I didn't get what I wanted, so I'm never voting again, right? That
Mm.
sense of kind of like disappointment, learned hopelessness, kind of complacency that disappointment breeds. And I think it can be the same way with prayer, right? That sometimes we don't always get the answers to our prayers that we want,
Mhm.
but it's still important to pray and to be in conversation with God. And it's still important to take responsibility to act in the ways that we can, which voting is one way to do that.
Mhm.
So I think it's important to remember that just like with prayer, we may not get the answer we want, but it's important still to participate and to take action.
Yes, absolutely. Oh, yeah, because there's been times when I've been disappointed on how how something turned out, but I learned, and I'm interested to see who you might have learned from besides family.
Hmm.
I learned about civic engagement in high school
Uh-huh.
from my social studies civics history teacher, Mr. Donald Stockton, and I couldn't vote in the presidential election in 1976.
Uh-huh.
But of course, it's the centennial. But there was so much happening, building up, and I really appreciated Mr. Stockton who took me and several other students to some of the Democratic committee meetings, just so we could see what's going on, what's happening. And it was an eye opener because in my family, while my parents and other family members voted, they never talked about it.
Interesting.
They never discussed it. And even when it came time for me to start casting my first votes, never engaged with me. My parents never
Huh.
engaged with me about it. It was just so private.
Yeah.
Only until later in their lives did they start talking about it. I don't know if it was just a generational thing or something of that ilk, but it was just,
Yeah.
I really appreciated Mr. Stockton because, again, he opened my eyes about the importance of voting. And I remember back when he says, Mark, you never know when your vote may be the one that actually determines how something is going to be decided.
Wow. Yeah.
So, did anyone specifically touch your heart about voting?
Yeah, I think that when I think about really internalizing the importance of it, um, which it's interesting to me that your family, my family, it felt like so much pressure, like of how to vote, right? And you're the kind of the other extreme, right? I think that for me, I spent about a decade working in the border region in Texas and in Arizona, and being in deep and loving solidarity and relationship and friendship with folks that were undocumented and
Mhm.
that were immigrants with some kind of status but who couldn't vote was a really big part of my life. And
Mhm.
knowing that the consequences of our elections, the ways that their lives and their realities are kind of put in the line of fire in terms of how we have political discussions, as well as that our political decisions often fall heaviest on them. And yet, as non-citizens, they cannot vote.
Mhm.
And so then those friendships kind of like weighing on me that like you really how much they would want to vote but couldn't. How then could I act as if it was a casual thing, right?
Mhm.
When it was something they couldn't do that I could, and that the consequences would fall so heavy on them if elections went a certain way. How could I then just coldly be like, "Oh, it's not a big deal. I'm not going to do it," right? Like what kind of privilege is that for me, right? And so I think I really internalized that through those friendships,
Yeah.
that like, wow, I really need to take seriously my participation in the systems that can do good or do harm to
Mm.
those that are most vulnerable around us. And if I have the ability to participate, I should. It's kind of like Paul, who wrote so many of our epistles in the scriptures. He was a citizen of the Roman Empire, unlike Jesus and like the rest of his disciples that were not citizens of Rome. And so Paul was able to leverage that citizenship
Mhm.
in order to kind of broaden his audience to be able to speak in Rome, et cetera, in a way that some of the other early Christians couldn't. And so he did, and he utilized his citizenship to kind of advocate for the gospel.
Mhm.
And so we also have a responsibility, like Paul, that if we have that ability, then we should use it and we should bear in our hearts and in our minds the most vulnerable as we do so.
Yes. And thank you for bringing up our privilege
Hmm.
because we do have that privilege and shouldn't take it lightly.
Right.
Although I do know there's some folks that do. So, but I'm going to conclude this just thanking you for sharing about the importance of voting.
My pleasure.
And also, thank you, our listening audience. And we want you to vote. If you haven't registered yet, it is due by October the 21st. And of course, there is the big election on November the 5th. So, in the meantime, share, download this podcast, and we really appreciate each of you. And thank you.
Thank you.
Peace.